Ladies and gentlemen, the New Orleans Saints are afraid to admit the fact that they have a huge problem that's been lasting all season. And it would be lazy and stupid to pin it all on quarterback Derek Carr.
It looked bad on Derek, you know what I'm saying? But it's really on me.
Hell, it would even be lazy to pin it all on offensive coordinator, play caller Pete Carmichael. There's a bigger problem here, and that is why there was so much frustration in this game. Derek Carr was heated, but there was still potential, and there was still a shot to tie the game at the very last minute. We'll take a look at this heartbreaking loss by the New Orleans Saints against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We got to explore, and we got to find out what the hell is going on, man. Shit. Make sure to like and subscribe for more NFL content. I go live for every Saints game on my Raiders channel. All my lives are on my Raiders channel, so make sure you check it out every single week. It was heartbreaking for Foster Moreau, who had a chance to tie the game at the very end. You see him here on the sideline with his head down. The man looked upset. Juwan Johnson is trying to comfort him right here. He dropped a touchdown that would have tied the game. There's no doubt about it. And apparently he knew the ball was going to him. Derek Carr pointed at him right before they broke the huddle. But you gotta feel bad for Foster Moreau. He's made plays and was making plays in this game, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. You had teammates comforting him, Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson right there, trying to keep his chin up. But when you lose the game, there's gonna be frustration no matter what, and you had Derek Carr absolutely livid during the duration of the game. This was notable, man, and he talked about that in the press conference, how he needs to chill out. He's getting pissed off, and it's not exactly helpful.
I've been showing my emotion a little bit too much on my sleeve. I kind of got to chill out, you know, and that's me holding myself accountable, because that's not going to help anything. And so just trying to be a calming influence in those moments, especially when it's been a couple of times it's happened, that heightened frustration, I could do a better job as a leader to calm everybody down.
If you've watched Derek Carr's entire career like I have, he only gets pissed off when there's a very big problem. He's known as a nice guy. That's how he is. So I do not think that this guy is completely arrogant and getting heated for absolutely no reason. There's a very clear reason. And you had Jay Gruden, John Gruden's brother, talking about this game. I think a lot of Saints fans could use Gruden right now. Keep in mind, Jay Gruden was actually interviewed for the offensive coordinator position by the Saints this past offseason, but they stuck with Pete Carmichael instead. And you have him talking about the frustration here and Derek Carr throughout this game.
Derek Carr is a great competitor. He's been in a great system before. He demands greatness. He demands perfection. And when guys are running the wrong routes or not in the place they're supposed to be, Derek is very emotional. He wears his emotions on his sleeves, and he wants to see everybody in the right spot. When they're not there, he gets frustrated. You can see the frustration last week and now this week.
This is a problem that we've seen all season long, and it really stuck out last week, which is wide receivers and the quarterback not being in sync, not knowing what the play call is. You had this happen multiple times in this game, and it happened last week with Chris Olave. Multiple times you see the guy giving up on routes early, not knowing what the play call is at times, especially when they're in the hurry up. He's confused. You're having writers from The Athletic, Ted Wynn, even take note of this. Woof. Olave has loafed on routes way too many times this season, and that is what happened late in the fourth quarter. And you have all the anonymous little pages that just repost on Twitter talking crap on Carr, saying that this play is on him, upset with the fact that he's upset. But it's very clear that Chris Olave gave up on this route way too early, and Carr just had to throw it away. Carr pump fakes, chucks it way out of bounds here, and Chris Olave was jogging early. Carr's absolutely yelling at him, livid right here, and Carr kept yelling in this situation. This is what he talked about, how he needs to cool it down, like we mentioned a little earlier. But this is frustrating. This is absolutely frustrating because Chris Olave is such a great athlete. He has so much potential coming out of Ohio State, a first-round pick. But if you don't know what the play call is, if you're going to give up on routes early because you're confused, you see him just jogging here. He's jogging, and once Carr sees he's jogging, Carr just throws it away because the play is done. It's third down. You don't want to take a sack when you're right here at your own freaking 5-yard line. You don't want to take the sack, so Carr just lived another down. This was the same exact problem as last week, like we showed a little little bit earlier. And the question is, when is it going to end? Is it ever going to end? I did not see Michael Thomas or Taysom Hill have these types of problems with Derek Carr. And that is what is so disappointing, because Chris Olave has the potential to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But there are a lot of athletes in the NFL. And ultimately, what separates you from the rest of the pack is the mental side of this football game. And if you do not know the play call, if you cannot adjust when the quarterback makes an audible, if you are going to run the wrong routes, if you are going to give up on routes, then honestly, it doesn't matter how athletic you are. It doesn't matter how many crazy highlight reel jumping in the air catches you've made before. And Jay Gruden talked more about Carr's frustration.
A lot of great quarterbacks, Tom Brady, all the great quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, all these true drop back guys, they demand perfection because they have to know where you're going to be at all times.
And that's the thing, Derek Carr demanding perfection from Chris Olave, demanding perfection from some of these receivers, getting heated, getting vocal, yelling. People are trying to portray that as a negative, but you see the greats, you see Tom Brady, you see Peyton Manning, you see all these guys get after their receivers when they're not on their assignments. Why is it such a big deal when Derek Carr does it? Derek Carr tried to not point fingers in his press conference, but did note there are some problems.
You know, because there was some things, and you know I'm not going to tell you, but there were some things that happened today that led to some pretty big negative plays that should never happen. I think that's where my frustration was coming from. I'm going to do everything in my power to fix that. And I know our guys are going to do everything in their power, because it's not malicious or, you know, coming from a bad place, you know. And so, look, it sucks right now. You know, we're finding everything that sucks right now. We're going to point it out, we're going to call it out, and we're going to try and work on that to get better.
And Chris Olave was asked about that miscommunication, and he was pretty open about what was going on.
Animated motion into you was that you two were not on the same page, or you know, on where he expected, I guess, throwing that ball?
I mean, yeah, you can put it on me. I mean, I'll take that.
Chris Olave at least took ownership there. And the thing is, man, we notice it when Carr makes a fit, but how many times is this happening in a game? Seems like a lot due to the lack of production on the offense. And what was so embarrassing in this game is the fact that you even had Alvin Kamara, a veteran, making a boneheaded mistake like this. Derek Carr thinks he's running a little hitch route and he's running a go, and there's a complete miscommunication and incompletion. You saw Alvin Kamara admit that it was his mistake to Derek Carr on the sideline after that, and he talked about it again at the press conference after the game.
I just busted. It was a hitch. I ran to go. So, you know, like I said, shoot, it's not all good. You got to take the good with the bad. I messed up, so that's on me. Derek, it looked bad on Derek, you know what I'm saying? But it's really on me. It's not I don't think it's a communication thing, because well, for me at least, it's not a consistent thing that's happening with Derek.
And here's the difference between Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. Yes, you are going to make a mistake sometimes as a player in the NFL. Derek Carr had his share of mistakes in the beginning of the game. I thought he was inaccurate on some drives where the Saints had an opportunity, mainly on this fade route onto Michael Thomas. It looks like he was a little inaccurate there, could have thrown it a little higher. And also when he was trying to make an improvised play to Rashid Shaheed in the back of the end zone. Yeah, I get it, you're improvising, but if you would have thrown this ball a little more outside, then I think Rashid Shaheed would have had a better chance at that touchdown early in the game. And the pick six was bad for Derek Carr. Yeah, he had to step up into the pocket. Yeah, it was a critical down, but he threw this pass too high for Rashid Shaheed, so it was easy to be tipped up and easy to turn into an interception. But you're gonna make mistakes, and the problem with Chris Olave right now is it seems like we've seen the same mistakes week after week. And keep in mind, Alvin Kamara was talking about people, what they're doing to prepare, you know, during the week. He doesn't know what they're doing. He doesn't know if they're on their game. And a lot of people have wondered, was Alvin Kamara talking about Chris Olave in the press conference last week?
And again, I'll circle back to what DeMario said. I don't know what everybody else is doing to prepare. There's a certain type of sacrifice that you have to make to be able to come out here and to play at a certain level, at an elite level. So I just hope everybody's doing it.
And what's so crazy is the Saints had a shot. They freaking tied this game despite all these problems. You had this here though with Michael Thomas from Derek Carr, a touchdown reception towards the end of the game to tie, right on the money. Amazing effort by Michael Thomas getting both feet in, and that's what the Saints need more of, and it just showed that it's possible, and you've seen this every week from the Saints. And you had Jeff Nowak of WWL talking to Eric McCoy, the center, talking about the 2-minute offense and how it was very productive for the Saints. And you saw that when Carr went more for a hurry-up offense with the Saints, they were able to move the football down the field effortlessly. And we had Carr being heated at the situation with Pete Carmichael last week, and it happened again this week. You saw them heated right here. Carr upset after the stalled drive in the third quarter, really wearing his emotions on his sleeves. But like I said earlier, the great quarterbacks do that. And if he really believes that somebody's messing up on his assignments, and it seems like the coaching staff, based on conversations last week, says that people are messing up on their assignments.
I think that communication has to be better. I think we've got to work on that with the coaching staff. I think the quarterbacks and the receivers have to do a better job of making sure they're on the same page. You know, we don't run a proper route. You know, there's something that happens that, you know, keeps us from being able to score touchdowns down there.
It seems like Alvin Kamara, based on conversations last week that we just showed you, thinks that there are people who are not preparing well enough and then are messing up on their assignments. If all of this is happening, he cannot help but be frustrated, and he should get frustrated. These guys can still get it together because they still had a shot at the end of the day to win this game, and it's just a few plays. If they get right, they would have won this game. And this reminds me so much of 2020 with the Raiders and Derek Carr, when Henry Ruggs was just too young and could not handle John Gruden's complex offense. The Raiders and Carr ended up having Nelson Aguilar take away way more snaps from Henry Ruggs, and he ended up having sort of a career year with Derek Carr. And it seems like this could be the issue with the Saints. Another problem could be that Carmichael just cannot teach this to young wide receivers. He's not like Sean Payton. He's not like John Gruden. That could be an issue. Time will tell as the Saints have a long break before they face the Indianapolis Colts. I think they could still get it together, and they showed great flashes against a tough Jaguars team that has a pretty good record in the AFC South. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments below. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.